Hello, everyone. How are you doing today, Yvonne?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great too. I'm so happy being here.
Me too.
Everybody, welcome to Find Your Wise podcast, another episode. We're so happy because, especially today, we're talking about a very special topic, which is about happiness.
Yes.
Have you ever asked yourself, am I really happy? It's what I'm doing really taking me to that enjoyment and sense of happiness that I wanted to feel. So those type of things
Mm.
that we wanted to be questioning today, because it's really, at least in my case, I was mentioning Yvonne, it's intriguing to me and it's also continue questioning myself. So
Yes.
as I said, I'm your co-host Indira Mosquea.
And I am Yvonne. And Indira forgot to say she's a leadership coach. I'm a financial coach. I was like putting that in there just in case people wonder what we are and what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. So, but we're very curious because even though we are in specific field, we wanted to make this a more well-being, health, and everything around in terms of an compensator for your as a person, all the different areas that we can develop.
Well, because we both also do life coaching. I mean, most coaching involves life coaching. And so this is part of it because in your pursuit of better leadership or in your pursuit of better financial situation, happiness is going to play a part in it.
Yes. Yeah. Have you ever questioning yourself about if you're happy, Yvonne?
I don't have to question myself so much because I'm at a point in my life where I can really just tell that I'm not happy and something needs to change. But I've been reflecting more on the things that used to make me happy compared to what now and how much that has changed, even in the course of like a year or two. It's not like you look back at your 20s and say, this is what made me happy compared to now. It can fluctuate pretty quickly.
Yes, and especially as you get older, you start questioning more things that are more meaningful.
Absolutely.
And for example, in my case, um, it, since I'm always trying to achieve something, and your happiness, it's a lot based on the results of the things that from the outside. So
Yes.
for the past few years, I've been observing my sense of happiness and enjoyment and the sense of purpose of how I feel. And that is really helping me to get to a point of start and continue working on the things that are more meaningful.
Mhm.
And I was mentioning, I have one special person in my life that it's my sister, but all around our family, we look up at her. And I know my other sister, we play around and say, when I grow up, I want to be like her because she's always happy.
That's
And
a huge
it's
compliment,
not,
though.
yeah, but it's not that she has the best life, but it is for her.
Right.
And
And I
that,
have noticed as I've gotten older that, like I said, my version of happiness has changed. And it's my version of happiness now has gone back to, I mean, that's my word for the year also is to simplify. But I
yeah,
found that has made a huge difference because when I've got too much going on, too much things, all that, it clutters my life. It clutters my everything.
yeah.
So yeah, I've noticed that that's a huge change for me in this past year.
Oh, that's nice. And surprising for me, my word of the year is achieve, but it's not achieve things just from the outside. It's continue focusing on growing myself and achieving things that are really make sense, that are meaningful. And that simple word has been putting me to questioning many things around my life and understand why I'm doing things and if those things are really bringing me the joy that I want.
Mhm.
And it's a good stage in the life in your life when you start thinking about those things. Really.
It really is. I happen to agree.
Yes. So the good thing is that I was looking in for this podcast. I was looking some information about happiness, and one thing that I found out it's that it's not a feeling. Yeah, it's more like a sense of. My sister even told me that is to say you have to be intentional
Yep.
in order for you to be happy. She was saying you can be intentional of looking the good thing. It doesn't matter how hard things are. There's always good things that happen. And she said, if I sit down and drink a coffee, I enjoy the coffee.
Right.
And that sense of feeling, and also talking about enjoyment, satisfaction, and sense of purpose, like we talked last week. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially when you're younger, you're thinking of happiness as being jovial a lot, laughing a lot and things. But as you get older, you realize happiness it does come from the inside, and it is a sense of peace, a sense of, like you said, accomplishment, a contentment that is your true happiness, or some people might call it joy. To me, there is a difference between happiness and joy, but I mean, some people might refer to that as joy. It's definitely an inward thing. It's not something necessarily that you are exhibiting externally.
yes, that's correct. One thing that surprised me is that, or maybe not surprised me, it's understand that there's studies about that, is
Mhm.
that they said like 50% of that is generic. And there's like 25% that is based on the circumstances and 25% that is based on the habit, which means that we have control of 50% of those ones, because
Mhm.
we can, like we always said in every podcast, we determine how we behave or how we accept the circumstances, and also we
Mhm.
create our habits. But there's people that tend to be happier than other, especially those one that are more optimistic and stuff like that.
Right. But that is something you can train yourself to do.
Yes,
And that's kind of what we're going to help people to learn today.
exactly. Because, like we said before, it's intentional. It's about the choice that you make and how you wanted to face those experiences.
Yes.
And that's like Yvonne mentioned, at the end of the podcast, we wanted to have some challenges for all of us so we can continue growing in that aspect. Yes.
Absolutely.
So we are mentioning, for example, that we have to be more intentional instead of conditional, right? And that's one of the myths of being happy.
Yeah, I agree.
Or how people understand. Another myth that you mentioned is that you understand that happiness is like having fun or spending good time. And that's another myth that also people
Mhm.
hear. Another myth is that you, as a financial coach, is that people think that more money brings more happiness.
A lot of people think that more money brings more happiness. And I promise you it does not. I promise you it does not. Having a good, healthy money mindset will actually bring you more happiness. The mindset of scarcity is what most people, when they start to think that more money is going to make everything better, is they have a scarcity mindset. And you have to get out of that in order to be happy financially, because if you don't have enough now, or if you don't feel like you have enough now, you will likely never feel like you have enough, because there's always going to be something else that you want, or that you want to do, or that you feel that you need money for. And so it really does come down to personal contentment when it comes to finances.
I think I have elephants on top of my roof. So I don't know if you can hear it. So I'm sorry about that.
I can't hear anything on this end. So
That's good. Another thing that I was going to mention is that also we think that happiness is we being positive and everything is perfect all the time.
right.
And that's also false.
Yep.
People can be happy in being going through situations that are difficult. And in fact, we go to different situations, but it's the way that we see and how we experience those things. And like I mentioned, for example, my sister, I'm going to give you an example. Not long ago, she's a surgeon. So she arrived to my mother's and she was a little sad, more than usual. My mother even called me, call your sister. She's not feeling good today, because she have a patient that have circumstances, and sometimes that touched her very closely. So she went to her other place that she practiced, and in the afternoon, I called her and I asked her, hey, how you feeling? To follow up on her. And she said, I'm doing great. I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that. So we're in a three-way call. And then my other sister that is on the call asked her, but this morning you were sad. Aren't you feeling sad? Oh, I forgot about that. She already was in another mood. She already called me. It was okay. She said she was in another stage. And then my other sister was curious. I don't know how you can do it. How is it possible that you this morning was like that And now you're feeling like fine. And she said, yeah, I cannot be ruminating on that.
Right.
And that's one of the things that she is able to shift how she's feeling quickly from the bad from the good, because, and I think also has to be the life that she experienced. She's always close to people that have low incomes and so limitation on health. Therefore, she also value life in a different way.
Well, happiness actually is a choice.
Yes.
I mean, the way we feel about anything, our initial reaction to it is legit. And I'm sorry, I feel like I have a dog hair on my face. So if I keep doing this, it's because I feel like I have a dog hair on my face. It's driving me crazy. But with any reaction, that's normal to have a reaction. But then you do choose how you're going to continue to feel about something, how you're going to continue to react or act about something. So she sounds like somebody who chooses, her responses,
Yeah, she would say it's intentional, and I decided that I'm going to feel happy and I'm going to feel blessed, and I'm going to enjoy every little moment.
It's good.
She really enjoys it.
I
She's
think so many
coming.
people live through their whole lives without doing that, and then you get to the end of your life and you're like, well, that sucked. You just it is one of those things where people talk about all the time. You come to your end of your life and it's not like you wished you worked more. You're going to have those other thoughts of, I wish I would have chosen happiness more. I wish I would have been kinder. I would have done those things. They are choices that you can make right now, today.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, because sometimes we live our life just waiting for that perfect moment or that result to enjoy it and feel happy, because we are depending on that, and it's not true. And that's one of the things that we also wanted to be clear. And I'm not a happiness expert. I'm learning and struggling and making sure that I learn to value more and experience things more. I'm missing, for example, I'm waiting for the summer, for at least the weather gets better so I can go and take a walk outside, because I love nature. But it's not the same on the treadmill. So I have to put music so I can make it excited.
But see, that's a choice that you make to make it better. I have a certification in happiness coaching. I'm not a happiness coach. I mean, there are coaches out there for that. I do have a certification in that, and it is something that I utilize in my coaching.
I'm losing you a little bit.
You there?
Yeah.
Am I still there? Am I there?
Yeah. Now, yes. Yeah.
That was weird. Even during pre-show, I was like glitching out. It was very strange. I don't know. Hopefully we don't lose me again.
You mentioned that you make a happiness, and I lost you there.
Am I here still? No?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that I think is really important is that people have to stop letting other people tell them what makes them happy. It's one of those things where you try to please everybody, or there's a very famous saying that says, what other people think about you is none of your business. And that sounds so weird, but if you can actually take that and run with it, you're going to be a much happier person, because you are not going to make everybody happy all the time. And somebody else's version of good, happy, pleasant, pretty, whatever, isn't necessarily what's going to make you feel that way. So you have to stop letting other people tell you what should make you happy. It's one of the first things you should do.
Yes, I love that. And also for happiness, and I know we even have an episode about this, it's the expectations and let go. We need to let go things that really are not meaningful for you. And sometimes it's people, sometimes it's things, sometimes our habits. Yes, but that is also important, because the problem is that our wants are so big that our haves sometimes are so low that we feel unsatisfied.
Right.
And it's not that we stop looking for great things.
Right.
It's not that. It's just that our baseline should be more, I would say, in the things that are meaningful. Right. Because it's not, and we see that when we experience difficulties. Health is not as important until you miss it or until you lose it. Yeah.
You're talking about, you have to stop living in the past. You have to let go of the past, and there is a happy medium that you can find, between having these huge dreams and reality. And we've talked about this a lot too, is keep working towards your goals and celebrate them along the way. But there is something, it's a psychological thing that can happen to people that are constantly chasing something bigger, and it's called the hedonic treadmill. And that's when you achieve a goal and now you want bigger, 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 and nothing ever satisfies you. That is just going to be a psychological killer for you. So you have to get off that hedonic treadmill and start to understand that there's things that you can be really happy about, be content in where you're at.
Yes.
Difference.
I like that you mentioned, and I can take that to also comment that there's different areas that are very meaningful in people, that they're working on their happiness so that they feel satisfied. One thing is that meaningful work. When we're talking about meaningful work, it's that something that you really feel reward because of the hard work that you're putting in place, but also you're serving others. So
that's huge for us, what we do. I mean, for any coach that I personally know, now I know there are other coaches out there that don't necessarily abide by this. Any coach that I know got into it because of the satisfaction you get by helping others. It used to be when I was in the corporate world, yay, payday. Everybody's like, it's payday, it's payday. And as a coach, you're like, okay, that's great. It's nice. Here's a check. But it's when you see your clients reaching their goals and succeeding, that is what makes me happy. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many people I've coached for no money.
Yeah, exactly. And those results, it's they you feel over the roof.
It's what keeps going.
Yeah, exactly. They give you the energy of continue going. And like you mentioned, for example, work payday, they give you the raise, and few months later, you don't even thinking about you.
Exactly.
And you get to a point that it doesn't even have that impactful meaning on you.
Exactly.
Because you're looking for something bigger and a bigger result. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying, that's why a lot of people talk about leaving bad managers and not bad jobs. That's true to a degree, but part of that is the managers aren't helping their employees reach their potential to try out different things in company that might suit them better. So, that is a huge part in work happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, it's also relationships, your friends and your family. Your circle, it's so important to make you feel happy and like protected, and because you count on people. So we're people person, so it's
how God made us.
We're built. Exactly, that's how God made us. And the other one is faith.
Oh yes, huge.
That is, yes. People
it's funny because a lot of people think that I'm not a Christian, I'm not an Islam, I'm not anything, I don't have any faith. Everybody has faith in something. Yes. It may not be a higher deity that you're thinking of, but you need to really think about what you put your importance into, and that is where your faith is. That is what you worship. And sometimes it is a job, a position, money, another person. So to say that you don't have faith in something is a misnomer. You need to really rethink that, do some deep diving, and think about where your faith is placed.
And now that you mentioned that makes a significant difference, because if you are putting your faith or your drivers, I would say, it's on artificial things or things from the outside, those definitely can be impacted in your life, especially after you grow old. Because you continue, for example, pursuing certain things, and after certain age, let's say your escalate are not as important because there's already people that are doing the same thing you do and maybe better, or you get to a retirement and people get depressed because their happiness were associated by what they were doing, not by who they are and growing themselves.
Exactly. Something else that you can do to become happier? Forgive. Practice forgiveness. I think that's going to be a really tough one for some people to swallow. It has been for me in the past.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that you can do in order to forgive that might make it a little bit easier. Because to say, we need to forgive them. Well, what does that mean? How do I do this? How do I let go of somebody that hurt me or a job that fired me that I feel unjustified? Things like that. There's several little things that you can do to help you work through it. And sorry, my dog just ran into a door. Sorry if we heard the bang. Real life, here we are.
Yes.
One thing you can do is to write a forgiveness letter. You don't even have to mail it to anybody, but sometimes just getting it out is very cathartic, or even just speaking it out loud. That's something that I have done a lot is to say it out loud. You kind of just release it from yourself, and it can help. Maybe do it in private so people don't think you're crazy, but whatever.
Yeah.
Something that you've talked about a lot is practice gratitude. So this person hurt me, or this job let me go, or whatever happened. But if you can look past that and be grateful for the things that you do have, changes the perspective in everything.
You know that I read this book called The Magic, and there's a few exercises that is there, and there's some of them that I stick with it. And it asks you to write down at the beginning of the morning, write down at least 5, 10 things that you feel grateful. You put the number, it doesn't matter. So you write those down. So I have a gratitude journal, which in where I write the things that I'm grateful for every morning. But then at the end of the day, it asks you, what is the one thing that you feel the most grateful for? Mm-hmm. And what it does is that it takes you to think about throughout your day, and it starts to all those meaningful moments, and you have to pick one. So they really put you in that mode. And one last thing that I continue doing is that you have a gratitude stone. When I have difficult days, I have that stone, and I put it in my pocket. Remember I mentioned?
Yes.
And I touch it, and sometimes that you're going to have a tough day at work, or have a difficult conversation and stuff like that. I had it over there, and it just reminds me to be grateful.
I say I've got one here. It's actually got a thumbprint in it. And I know people that do those. They use those. People that use coins, all kinds of things. Something textile that they can put their hand on to remind themselves, to center themselves. And I think that's a wonderful practice, and it can really change you in an instant like that, to just all of a sudden come back to yourself and be like, you know what, maybe it's not so bad. Just calm down.
Yeah. Even the one that are more technological, my son just recently downloaded an app that gives him quote based on the things that you need every certain period of the day. So, and then we come in the afternoon, we talk about, what was your quote today? So all of us, we have it just to have a topic of conversation.
That's funny, because I want to say it because she'll talk, but the thing that the box that talks to you, you say her name and she talks back to you. I don't want to say it because she's right here.
Okay.
I have that, and I'll say morning, the name, morning routine, and it will tell me the weather, it will tell me the quote for the day, and a positive thought. So I start my day in prayer. I'm grateful for the day, and even if it's just simple, 4:00 in the morning, thank you for letting me be alive today, God. I don't know, it's 4:00 in the morning, but then to continue on, I get out of bed and I come and say my morning routine. It's a great way. I mean, it really does set the course for your day. So it makes a huge difference.
And like you mentioned, when I started doing this exercise a few years ago, because my husband always do it, say, before you put the foot on the floor, you have to be thankful, because it's a day that God has given you. He's always say, I'm happy, and we can be struggling. He will say, I'm happy. I couldn't understand why he was saying that. So, but then he said, first of all, you have to be grateful. So I read the book, and at the beginning, I start giving thanks for mundane things. But after a while, I start giving thanks, for example, wow, I wake up and the birds are singing outside my window. Oh my gosh, that sounds pretty. So you start valuing life in a different way.
You really, really do. Something else that can really bring some happiness, peace to yourself is to serve the community. Whenever you serve others, we talked about that as coaches. Yes, we do get paid most of the time for coaching, but it is an act of service. But you can do all kinds of acts of service in your community. You can volunteer at shelters, pet shelters. There's always animals out there that need help. Donate time or money or something. Usually time is better, to a nonprofit. Pick up litter. Small, you're going on a walk your dog, and you see trash, something, pick it up. Make your community a better place by giving back to it a little bit. Those little tiny things make a big difference if you do them. Something else, support your school. I know something that goes around a lot, especially this time of year, is instead of giving money to all kinds of crazy things, call up your local school and ask them if there is any child who has no lunch money on their account,
Going. Yeah.
or if they're overdrawn on their account, and pay it
Oh, that's
for them.
nice.
Because I know in every school district is different, but there are school districts out there that if the child doesn't have money on their account, they either don't eat or they're given like a peanut butter sandwich, and so they stand out from the rest of the kids and they're embarrassed that I don't have any money. So those are the things you can do is pay some child's lunch account at a local school.
That's really nice. Never thought about that one. Yeah. At the school, the kids continue dragging if they don't have money. Sometimes I put it and they continue to say, oh, this is not helping because I want him to stick in a budget, but it's hard. So I think I make peace with myself and with my budget because I couldn't manage it. I couldn't handle it.
Yes.
And that's one thing. Sometimes there are certain things that you can change. And if you can change, make peace with it.
Exactly. Accept what you cannot change. Change what you can. Accept what you cannot. That is a huge piece to being happier.
Yeah. Another one that also we were mentioning is about in terms of relationships, like you mentioned, for example, talking with a stranger, but also if we can give quality time to the people that we love.
Huge.
Connect social media and stuff like that. Spend quality time with them. That is not helpful for them, but also helpful for us.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I consider that is important. And even sometimes when you're in the street or whatever, give compliment.
Yeah.
My grandfather, it was a master, and he used to say, I could change a person's day just by say, oh, you look pretty today.
You can. And I don't remember the exact saying, but it says something, if you want to make the world a happier place, give somebody your smile or something like that. Even just smiling at somebody can make a huge difference, because it doesn't have to be a hardcore interaction. Sometimes somebody just needs to feel acknowledged, to realize that they're not invisible. Recognizing the presence of somebody else and smiling as you walk by can make a big difference.
Correct. That's true.
And when you smile, you kind of feel good inside yourself.
That's true.
At least I do. Smile all the time.
Yeah, I think everybody does it.
So, as I say, when you're at work, there's a lot of things you can do too. We talked about that a little bit before, about having struggles at work or feeling stuck at work. But there are things you can do to make yourself happier at work too. Ask if you can mentor somebody. It feels really good to help somebody else grow, especially if it's new people. I love doing that. In any of my corporate jobs, I always volunteered, for the newbies that were coming in, to mentor them and coach them in and stuff. I loved that, and get them excited about the new position. Maybe they'll even let you teach a class or something like that. So there's always ways, even at work, that you can just even be encouraging. If pretty much everybody at work now either has Teams or Slack or something like that, everybody's talking behind the scenes. To say they're not is crazy. But if somebody is not having a great day, slip them a little message. Just say, I was thinking about you. I hope you're having a great day. I was praying for you, whatever's appropriate for your work. But just those little words of encouragement in Teams chat or something can make a huge difference too.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned that, because we spend most of our day at work, and having that good interaction, it's so important, because if we don't have necessarily a good day at work, we express similar situation we in the evening at home. So it's very important to having a good sense of energy. So like you mentioned, I love that idea about mentoring people. Also, we have to be an example, because if you express good energy, even in starting the meeting, sometimes people are, oh, good day. But if you can be a change agent with just your energy and be able to demonstrate people that this life is work we're here, but we're doing it because or you like it or you need it. Either way, you're here, so we can make the best of that.
Exactly.
And that example, that can make a significant difference from the people around you.
Yeah, I mean, making a cohesive team is huge. I have stayed longer at jobs that I did not enjoy because the team that I worked with, I loved, and I wasn't ready to leave them yet. So and you are part of that. You can make that happen. So there's so much that you can do at work to make people happier, to make it better. Especially like you said, when everybody calls for another meeting, instead of everybody going, this cannot be another email. Be the
and
positive one.
I would like to mention, in terms of financials, we can use money to really make meaningful things in our life.
Mhm.
And I love your post last Friday about enjoying. Use
Yes.
your money to enjoy it and experience things. And that's one thing that I can tell my sister does pretty well. She just, she said, her vacation budget, oh, she's always working on that, and her enjoyment budget, she's pretty sure that she has that. So you can use your money to serve you and give you experiences, not
And
you serve that.
right. Well, and people might be thinking, "Oh, well, I don't have a lot of money. I can't go on vacation. I can't do all these things." But, can you buy yourself an ice cream? Can you do something little bit, just a tiny little treat to enjoy the hard work that you put into it? Because think of all of the hours that you put in at work. And even if you're not making a ton of money, first of all, keep working, get there, you'll get there. I actually talked to somebody today on Facebook that was like, "I'm never going to be able to buy a house." I'm like, "Oh, let's have a chat."
Yes.
But there you do need to enjoy those things when it comes to your finances. Don't think that not having as much as you want or think that you need means you can't enjoy any of it, because then it really does become drudgery, and you start to get a definite negative mindset when it comes to it.
Yeah. And let me tell you, there's even free things, museum that you can go, places. For example, in my country, you go to the beach and you didn't need to pay. And sometimes we didn't have money to go and sit down in a chair lounge. So we took our blankets and we prepared our food, spaghetti most of the time, and we went over there and we have a blast the whole day. So
Yep.
you can figure things out that you can use as well to experience and bring joy to your life as much as you
There's a
can.
reason when people are upset that you see, especially on Facebook all the time, when somebody's upset, somebody will tell them, "Go touch grass." There's legitimacy to that.
Yeah.
Grounding, people. Look into it. It is a true science. It's amazing.
Yes.
Literally, if you're having a really bad day, get outside, enjoy nature, and touch grass.
Especially, I love walking the grass. I
Yes.
think, to me, probably it reminds me my childhood. It takes me to my childhood.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know what? I think a lot of people are really unhappy with their lives, and there's something that they could do to make themselves
What is that?
just be authentic, be who they are. So many people are going through their lives pretending. I don't even think they realize sometimes that they're pretending to be something else or somebody else. They're trying to emulate somebody. But you're never going to be really happy unless you're just being who you truly are.
Yes.
But first you have to know yourself, of course, and that takes some work, and some people don't want to do that. So
And glad that you mentioned that. I've never thought it about that way. And especially because, like you said, sometimes we don't even know, because we build since childhood around people that created and inform us. And there's a moment, like you said, that we have to stop and reconnect with ourselves, with our true self, not the one that has been built, but the one that we are authentically. So I love that.
Well, it's funny because you and I talk about this all the time, even about this podcast, because authentically ourselves we are very different people. You are very much more of a structured kind of person, and I'm more of that hey kind of person. And so we try to blend it all the time here on the podcast. And we've been talking about that more and more lately too, of we need to just be more authentically ourselves, because when people work with us, that's what they're going to get. They're not going to get this, perfect person.
Yeah.
Is live with integrity, not just authenticity, but integrity.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yes. Also, I would mention, for example, for habits, exercising is really good. Listening to music. Oh my gosh. And spend time with yourself. For example, go take a bath instead of a shower. Or glass of wine or whatever you drink. Enjoy your coffee. I think it's more the meaning that we put to the things. Most of the times it doesn't matter how mundane the things are, it's the meaning that you put behind that will make the difference of how you feel and how you enjoy it.
We get into such a routine in our lives that we are just going through the motions. We're not even appreciating the things like you talked about with your health until it's gone. Well, a lot of that same happens to us in our lives. We don't enjoy the fact that we can wake up from a comfortable warm bed, or that we can have a roof over our head. Doesn't have to be fancy, but we have a roof over our head that kept us safe at night. That coffee that you drink in the morning, most people are just dragging themselves to the kitchen. But enjoy the scent of it and the taste of it, the warmth of it, all of that. Take it slow. Don't guzzle it down as you're running out the door. Why do that? If it means waking up an extra 10 minutes earlier so that you can actually find that peace and center yourself, it can make all the difference in how the whole rest of your day goes.
Correct. That's so correct. And it really makes a significant difference in how you feel and how you appreciate things. And we always talk about gratitude and appreciation. And last week we were talking about purpose and fulfillment. So that it's one of the strong things to relate with happiness. Because when you're walking towards your purpose, it doesn't matter how difficult it gets, every little thing you enjoy it, and it's like everything is a blessing.
Well, and so many people think, they'll look at us or anybody else that owns a business and they're like, oh, you're so lucky you own the business. You get to work for yourself. Do you have any idea how much work goes into this? How many late nights, early mornings, all long days? It's not like I just wake up at noon and go, oh, let me make a post. It's not like that at all. It's a lot of work, but it doesn't feel the same as when I was working for somebody else. Now, I loved some of my corporate jobs. I really, really did. But it is different for this because now I feel like I'm working in my purpose. So putting in 15-hour, 16-hour days doesn't feel the same when you're doing it for your purpose versus somebody else's purpose.
Yes, exactly. I heard someone, I think it was when I was working marketing level business, and he was talking, if you're not working on your dreams, you are helping someone else's dreams. And that's what makes a difference. Yeah.
And, so it's not always going to be easy, but, it is better to follow your dream, like you said, than to build somebody else's.
Yes, agree.
And, when you're doing that, something else that we run into is limiting beliefs. This is something that I run into all the time in my coaching is people's limiting beliefs. Like I said, today, I talked to somebody who's like, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. I had that same attitude at one point in my life. I know how those limiting beliefs come in, but you're not going to be happy as long as I hate to say this because it sounds so negative, but if you're always in victim mode, you're going to have a really hard time being happy in your life. Because if it's always somebody else's fault, the situation's fault, until you take control of it and understand that there are things that you can do, you're probably not going to be a very happy person.
We talk about this is intentionality and also take responsibility. Unless you take responsibility, and we take responsibility of our happiness, of our purpose, of our things, that our mindset, our habits, things that are going to work the way we want it. Our relationships, we can determine with who we spend our time to. So definitely all those things can compensate how you're going to feel, not just today, but also when you get older. And right now is that we're putting the fruits to allow us to feel happy when we are about to die. If not, we'll have to, oh my gosh, think about what we really did with our life.
Exactly. And don't you want to look back and say, I lived a happy life? Yes. And I guarantee that when you say that, it's not going to be like $1 million. I had a Lamborghini. I had an 8-bedroom house. You're going to be like, I had a happy life. You know, I was surrounded by people that I loved. I lived in my purpose. I was authentically myself. I like the whole limiting beliefs. I actually am in my office, and I know you guys can see behind me, but you cannot see what's in front of me. And I've shared this with Indira before. I have a thing right here in front of me that reminds me every day, and it says, she believed she could, so she did. And that keeps me going. Every time those limiting beliefs come into my head, and I start thinking that following this dream is just too hard, I'm like, nope. You got to keep going.
Yes, I love that.
Well, I don't want to end my life going, I wish I had.
Yeah.
What a horrible way to end it.
And it's more important to value what you have than what you dream, because at the end, you can start enjoying life more.
Yes.
So I think Arthur Brooks, Harvard professor, talks about that satisfaction. It's not having what satisfaction is different from having. It's more that equation. It's more a division. Our haves divided by our wants. So the bigger our wants, it's going to make it difficult for us to be satisfied.
Yes.
The bigger our haves also. So it's really have that balance of the things that we want based on what we actual reality is.
It's enjoying what you have while you work.
Exactly. Until you get those things. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what else you want to bring up, but before you do,
okay,
I want to let you know that before we say goodbye, I have something I want to challenge our listeners with. So let me know before we say goodbye.
Yes. Definitely. One thing that we wanted to do is, you can go ahead and say.
Well, we definitely want to do, this is a 30-day challenge that we've put up for people, and then we're not giving you 30 things necessarily that you have to do something every single day. We're giving you through this episode, and we are going to put a lot of these things on our Facebook page, the Find Your Wise Podcast Facebook page. We're going to be putting up stuff every day as an idea of something that you can work on to work on your happiness. Now, like I said, doesn't mean you have to try something different every day. You might choose, I need to forgive somebody in order to be happy. And it might take you 3 weeks to work on that. But we're going to put these things up there to remind you to do these things, or give you ideas of things that you can do to make you happier. But one thing I really want you to do today, starting right now today, I want you to choose happiness. And by doing that, I want you to list 5 things that bring you joy. 5 things, just starting today. Now, it's something you can do every day. It's something you can do once a week. It's whatever, or you can just do it this one time. But I want you to start by thinking that it's going to get you in the right mind, the right frame of mind to start this challenge. 5 things that bring you joy. It doesn't even have to be something that's in your reality. You might be, I love dogs, and you don't own a dog, but dogs bring you joy. It could be anything.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm going to write down my 5 things and I'm going to post it.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, that's I started the challenge. And like Yvonne mentioned, we're going to be posting all the different things that we can do so we can continue being happy. And the relationship, we wanted to do this podcast, and it's so related with the one that we have previous week, that it was about purpose, and this one is about happiness. So we wanted to continue bringing things that really help you to see your life in a more meaningful way and really be more intentional. Like we said before, happiness is a choice.
It is.
It's something that you decided that you want it to be. It's not based on what you have. It's based on what you really value on your life. And if you really set that base very simple, like we said, I was saying my husband, before he get out of the bed, he said, I'm grateful because I'm alive. So everything else that he received is a plus, because he's already in ground zero. Zero is being alive. Then everything will be a plus. So that really makes a difference.
And if you're really, really struggling and you're having a hard time even doing that and getting out of bed and saying, I'm glad I'm alive, seriously consider getting some help. Talk to somebody, a therapist, a trusted friend, a coach, something else. Don't let it stop you from continuing living your life. Get some help and keep on keeping on.
Yes, I love that. That's very important, because there's people that are struggling over there. So there's many places that we can look for support.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to thank you, everybody. This is really a happy episode.
It is.
And we really wanted to see you next week with another episode that we really wanted to continue bringing to you. So don't forget to share, subscribe, and like this episode.
Yes.
And everybody needs happiness in their life. So please share this, because you don't know who it's waiting to listen to this that could make a difference.
Right. Start your day today by making your own happiness.
Yes. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye.